guys, DPX here. Welcome back to another series TV review, streaming review, I guess. Today I'm reviewing Fallout. Before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to subscribe to hit the bell, leave a comment, or I will blow up your world. So, yeah, a few days ago, we got a new Fallout show. And, to give a point of reference, you know, I am not the most familiar with Fallout. I've played a good chunk of the games, but the only one I've really fully, delved deep into was New Vegas. That game rules. I played 3, which was a good game, but not a whole lot of it that I played. I played 4, which was a good game, but not a whole lot of it that I played, and I played 76. Yeah, not a very good game. Although I heard it's better now, but still. So I went into the show with some knowledge on Fallout, but not, I'm not a huge Fallout fan, if you know what I mean. But right off the bat, I want to say, the show does a thing that most video game adaptations, and just adaptations in general, should be doing, and that is bring in people who worked on the games to help with the show. In this case, they brought in Todd Howard to actually help out with the show, you know. So it's a very faithful adaptation. It doesn't copy the games beat by beat, nor do I think it should, but it adapts the games in a way that works on television. So take that, Halo. Anyways, yeah, I really enjoyed the show. I'm gonna get that off the bat. I really liked it. There was one thing I did really like was there was there's kind of 3 main characters. On all 3 of them had their own sort of plot lines going on, and there's actually more plot lines than just those 3. But I feel you had Lucy, you had the Ghoul, and you had Maximus were the 3 main characters. I felt, at least, with their own plot lines, and their separate points where they all kind of intertwined, which I thought was cool. I think what they did with Lucy in particular, having her be the vault dweller, who's kind of she kind of, for her entire life, she was living in a bubble, basically. And then her dad gets kidnapped, and she leaves the vault, leaves the bubble, you know, and to rescue him. And then she kind of sees how this world really is, and she has this naivety to her, you know, she sees a fight going on or something like that, and she'll resolve it in sort of she'll try to resolve it in sort of a very naive way, and it doesn't come off as annoying, it doesn't come off as goofy. It kind of ran the risk of doing that, but it came off as you know, she's just naive. And I also think she was also a great sort of, I don't know what the word is, but a great way to see the world that we're in, you know, because they nailed the world of Fallout. They nailed the look, the feel, and the overall just world of Fallout. It definitely looks like Fallout. It nails the emptiness. I think that was a major thing. I think it was Fallout 3 that the whole thing was empty, and it nails that. It was also it nails kind of meshing many different tones, many different aesthetics very well. You got the post-apocalyptic, empty world that I just talked about. Then there's also futuristic stuff with the Brotherhood. There's stuff from what was the 1950s or something like that. That you see with Walton Goggins' character before he became the Ghoul. And then there's the stuff with the Vault Dwellers, you know, that I thought was interesting. You know, it's a whole bunch of different aesthetics, different tones, but they managed to mesh them all very well. Even the opening sequence with Walton Goggins, you know, who, by the way, he steals every scene he's in. But he plays this guy named Cooper Howard in when you look at the older kind of flashbacky footage, you know, but in the opening he plays he plays a guy named Cooper Howard, and you know, just the scene, I'm not gonna really say what happens, although you might know just because it's what kicks off everything. like, that opening scene got me hooked immediately, and then just cut from there to 200 years later, and we just cut to we cut to Lucy, and it's like, you know, it's very tonally different, it's very, like, visually different, but I think it worked. See, I talked about, I like the stuff with Lucy, how she's sort of just this naive, kind of, like, innocent person who's just seeing, like, the outside world for the first time and seeing what it's really like how just bad it really is. When we see the ghoul, you know, throughout the show, you're kind of wondering, how did this good guy, you know, this perfectly fine guy, turn into just this new guy who just doesn't care about anything, really. He just has no regard for, like, any sort of, like, life or anything, you know what I mean? Just a heartless, almost cold-blooded killer. And it does a great job building mystery. There's a bunch of mystery surrounding the two characters I talked about. There's a bunch of mystery surrounding the vaults. There's, like, this whole subplot going on about these couple guys in the vault trying to like, uncover a mystery and shit. And, you know, the mystery, like, is a great aspect of this show, because it's, like, stuff you actually want to find out, stuff you're interested in, and you just want to, like, you want to just keep tuning in, keep clicking on the next episode to see what the mystery is. But it's not just the vault stuff, it's also just a bunch of stuff all throughout the show. The show is also very, it's very bloody and gory. Something I really didn't expect. Like, you know, the Fallout games they have violence in there, but I wasn't expecting this. Like, this was crazy. And, I think it worked a lot of the time. And the score is great, too. They got some songs from, like, a long time ago in there, you know? It kind of, once again, it fits Fallout, but then there's, like, the score, you know, is really good. But you may have noticed I mentioned 3 characters, but I only really talked about 2 of them, Lucy and the ghoul. But there's one more named Maximus, you know, and through him we see, like, the Brotherhood, and he's kind of like Lucy, where, like, how Lucy kind of just grew up living in a bubble, so did Maximus. You know, he's kind of, like, he's a part of the Brotherhood, which is like this, it's almost like a military. That's where you get the futuristic stuff, you know, you get it's like Western, you got part Western, you got part, like, 1950s movie or show, and then you get, like, futuristic stuff, which I thought was cool. But Maximus, I feel like, was the least interesting character of the 3, or at least, like, I don't want to say least interesting, because there are some interesting things about him, but I feel like we learned a lot about him, but also learning nothing. You know what I mean? I feel like we spent a good amount of time on him, but we didn't, like, I don't know too much about him. He doesn't really seem to have much of a character, really. He doesn't really even emote that much. So I'm interested, like, seeing how the first season ended, like, the finale ended, where that leaves him. I think that's interesting to see that develop. But I feel like maybe we could have done a little more with him this season. That's just me, though. Also, this isn't really an issue with the show. It's more of, like, an issue surrounding the show. But I feel like the binge model kind of hurts the show a little bit. Like, I feel like you could have done a weekly thing, or at least, like, put out maybe the first 3 episodes all at once, and then do a weekly thing. Because when you have, like, all this mystery, all this build-up going on, you know, you're like, so much intrigue, so much mystery, as I mentioned, you know, you kind of lose that when you can just binge it all at once, you know? Like, every episode ended on, like, some stinger, you know, some just punch, you know? It was like, oh man, I need to see what happens next. And I feel like that could have benefited from a weekly release thing. But at the same time, there are some people who really love to watch it all at once, and it depends on me. It depends on, like, what show I feel like is better suited for a binge, or if it's better suited for, like, week to week. I feel like this could have benefited from week to week. But that doesn't matter too much, because even still, it was a great time. Seeing all the different tones and aesthetics, the different characters and the perspectives. There's other characters I didn't even mention, but it manages to mesh them all very well, balance them together. Even I talked about how I felt like we didn't know too much about Maximus, but we did learn. It's weird. We got a lot of him, but like I feel like he's might be the least interesting, you know. But overall, I think Fallout. I think the Fallout show is really good. Very good, in fact. We need more video game adaptations like this. Stuff like adaptations that understand the source material, that respect the source material. Don't have to copy it beat by beat, but get like a creator of the source material on board. In this case, they got Todd Howard on board, so we actually get something that makes sense and is a proper adaptation. And it's also a show that I feel like even people who aren't familiar with Fallout, you can watch this show without playing a single Fallout game, without even knowing that Fallout was originally a video game. You can watch this show without any perceived knowledge, or I don't think that was the right word, but any like preconceived knowledge is what I meant to say. Any preconceived knowledge on Fallout, the games, you can go into this show completely blind, and I think you'll have fun with it because it's a really good show in its own right. In the end, I'm gonna give Fallout on Amazon a 9 out of 10. Yeah. So that's my review for Fallout, the show. I don't know if you can hear, but there's these annoying ass fucking birds in the back. But I hope you didn't hear that. It would be funny if you didn't hear that and I just said that. I'm not cutting it out, so. But what do you guys think of the Fallout show? Do you guys like it, not like it? Have you guys seen it, not seen it? And if you haven't seen it, do you guys want to see it, not want to see it? Anything about the show, let me know down below. Anyways, be sure to like, subscribe, or I will blow up your world. Bye!